Deserts once transformed into lush gardens under the hands of forgotten engineers. These pioneers mastered water control millennia before Rome built its first aqueduct. You are about to discover a lost chapter of human ingenuity that rivals modern technology. By the end, you will know the true origins of civilization's greatest engineering feats. How did ancient cultures build invisible water networks that defied their harsh environments? What hidden knowledge allowed them to create fertile havens in the most barren landscapes? Why does the story of these master hydrologists remain in the shadows for so long? What does it truly mean to build a legacy that lasts for thousands of years? The sheer scale of this ancient ambition becomes clear in the sprawling cities of the Indus Valley. Walk the streets of Mohenjo-Daro 4,000 years ago, and you would find yourself in a world of orderly brick lanes, each one flanked by a complex network of drains. These were not simple ditches. They were carefully constructed channels made of baked bricks covered with stone slabs and equipped with inspection holes for maintenance. This was a city that understood the flow of water in a way that seems almost modern. Every house had its own private bathroom and a waste disposal chute that connected directly to the street drains. The entire system was designed with a slight gradient, a gentle slope that used gravity to carry wastewater away from homes and into larger cesspits. This was public health engineering on a massive scale, a coordinated effort to keep a city of thousands clean and functioning. The planning required for such a feat is staggering. It means someone, or more likely a group of skilled engineers, had to survey the entire city, understand the natural lay of the land, and design a network that worked for every single neighborhood. This was not a haphazard addition. It was built into the city's blueprint from the very beginning. The most iconic symbol of this water mastery is the Great Bath. This structure was not just a pool, it was a monumental, watertight tank, meticulously sealed with a layer of natural tar to prevent leaks. It required a constant supply of fresh water and an outlet to drain it for cleaning. Think about the knowledge required to make a structure of that size perfectly waterproof and to keep the water clean for whatever ceremonial or communal purposes it served. This was not a society that merely used water. They commanded it, integrating its management into the very heart of their urban existence. Their achievement stands as a quiet challenge to our historical timelines, forcing us to ask a profound question. How did they develop such a comprehensive understanding of hydraulics and city planning so long before anyone else? While Mohenjo-Daro's waterworks were a marvel of urban planning, another civilization was solving a different hydraulic puzzle entirely. Far from the river-fed plains in the heart of ancient Persia's deserts, survival depended on an invisible network of tunnels. This was the Kanat, a masterpiece of subterranean engineering. Imagine a chain of wells connected at their bases by a gently sloped tunnel, all dug by hand through rock and soil. The process began high in the foothills, where workers identified an aquifer, a layer of water-soaked ground. They would dig a mother well down to this underground reservoir. Then, moving downhill for miles, they dug a line of vertical shafts every 100 feet or so. These shafts provided air, allowed for the removal of excavated material, and served as maintenance access points. At the bottom of each shaft, crews worked in opposite directions, painstakingly carving out the main water channel that connected them all. The genius was in the slope. The tunnel had to have just enough gradient for the water to flow steadily toward the surface at the tunnel's end, but not so steep that it would erode the channel walls. This gravity-fed system was brilliantly efficient. Because the water traveled underground, it was protected from the blistering sun, losing almost nothing to evaporation in a climate where surface water could vanish in hours. A single qanat could deliver a reliable, cool stream of water for decades, creating a literal oasis in the desert. This technology did more than just provide drinking water. It enabled the cultivation of vast fields, orchards, and legendary Persian gardens, known as Peri-Disa, the root of our word paradise. These lush, walled enclosures were a direct defiance of the arid landscape, a testament to the qanat's power. The system was so effective that it became the backbone of the Achaemenid Empire, allowing it to flourish in regions that would otherwise be uninhabitable. The knowledge spread along trade routes from China to North Africa, and some of these ancient tunnels are still in use today. The true scale of this achievement remains hidden from view, a silent, flowing testament to the engineers who mastered the desert from the inside out. Descending into a stepwell is like walking into the earth itself. In the arid landscapes of India, these structures, known as baolis, were far more than simple water holes. They were monumental feats of architecture, inverted palaces carved deep into the ground. As you walked down, a cascade of precisely carved steps unfolded before you, a stunning geometric pattern leading to the water table far below. This was not a static design. The staircases were engineered to accommodate the dramatic seasonal shifts in the water level, ensuring that communities could always reach this life-giving resource, whether during the monsoon rains or the peak of a severe drought. The sheer scale of a stepwell like Chand Baori is almost incomprehensible. It is a colossal inverted pyramid, featuring 3,500 narrow steps descending 13 stories deep. The symmetry is hypnotic, a testament to a masterful understanding of geometry, structure, and its interaction with water, but the genius extends beyond the visual. The design created its own microclimate. The deep, shaded interior remained dramatically cooler than the surface, offering a vital respite from the heat. The intricate arrangement of steps and galleries also manipulated sound, often creating unique acoustic effects where a whisper at one end could be heard clearly at the other, adding a layer of mystical ambience to these communal spaces. Here, the practical and the spiritual were seamlessly woven together. A stepwell was a community's living room, a pilgrimage site, and a cooling center. People gathered on its steps to socialize, travelers rested in its shaded arcades, and rituals were performed at the water's edge. This was a holistic approach to survival, where the essential act of collecting water was transformed into a social and spiritual experience. The most ornate baolis were adorned with exquisite carvings of deities and mythological scenes, a clear declaration that water was not just a utility, but a sacred force to be revered and celebrated. This fusion of art and engineering stands as a powerful statement. It reveals a culture that refused to separate function from beauty, viewing the management of a vital resource as an act worthy of its greatest artistic and architectural expression. The stepwells were not hidden infrastructure. They were proud, central, and beautiful, a daily reminder of water's profound role in the life of the community. How did other cultures confront the immense challenge of moving water across even greater distances, not with steps leading down, but with channels reaching for the sky? The desert kingdom of Petra presents a paradox carved from stone. While its breathtaking tombs and temples are world-famous, the true wonder of this city lies not in what it displayed to the sky, but in how it mastered the water that fell from it. In a land that receives less than 6 inches of rain each year, the Nabateans engineered a survival system of astonishing precision. They treated their entire territory as a massive catchment area. Across the surrounding plateaus, they constructed a network of low stone walls and diversion dams designed to intercept the sudden, violent flash floods that winter storms would bring. This was not about fighting the desert's nature, but about working with its brutal rhythms. Their most critical achievement was controlling the Sick, the narrow, winding canyon that serves as the main entrance to Petra. The Nabateans did not just leave this majestic passage as a natural wonder. They carved channels into its towering cliff walls, gutters that ran for over a mile, directing floodwaters away from the path and into a series of hidden reservoirs. They even built a massive dam at the Sick's entrance to divert the most destructive floodwaters entirely, protecting the heart of their city. Every surface was part of the plan. They paved hillsides and carved channels into rooftops and courtyards, all designed to funnel precious rainwater into one of the 200 cisterns hidden throughout the city. These underground chambers, some large enough to hold the water for hundreds of people, were lined with waterproof plaster to prevent seepage into the thirsty ground. This meant that a single day of rain could provide for the city for months. This intricate hydraulic network allowed Petra to support a population that may have reached 30,000 people, all while serving as a bustling hub for caravans carrying incense, spices, and silks. The Nabateans did not just find an oasis, they built one, drop by captured drop, proving that the greatest power in a desert is not to find water, but to know exactly where it will go. Their silent, flowing genius invites a final, humbling question. What other forgotten infrastructures, hidden in plain sight, still hold the secrets of civilizations we have only just begun to understand? Far to the west, on the sun-drenched island of Crete, water was channeled with a different kind of elegance. The grand palace of Knossos was not merely a royal residence but the beating heart of a hydraulic network of astonishing sophistication. Within its labyrinthine walls, archaeologists have uncovered terracotta pipes so expertly designed they could manage water pressure, a technological leap that allowed fresh spring water to flow down from the mountains and directly into the city. These were not simple clay conduits. Their tapered, conical shape was a masterstroke of engineering, designed to fit snugly into one another, with a narrow end pointing in the direction of the flow. This clever design helped increase the water's velocity and minimized leaks, creating a primitive yet effective pressurized system that could supply the palace and its surroundings with a reliable current of clean water. But the innovation did not stop at delivery. The Minoans displayed a profound concern for water quality, constructing sedimentation tanks where water could sit undisturbed, allowing grit and impurities to settle to the bottom before the cleaner water continued its journey. Inside the palace rooms, this mastery took a remarkably modern form. Royal chambers featured the world's known first flush toilets, with wooden seats perched over clay drains that used water to wash waste away into central sewers. This was not a piecemeal effort. It was a comprehensive, integrated system that addressed every aspect of the water cycle, from collection and purification to distribution and sanitation. This intricate infrastructure speaks of a society that placed a high value on public health, urban comfort, and civic order. It provided the stable foundation upon which a vibrant and artistic culture could flourish for centuries, its frescoes and grand courtyards sustained by the unseen, steady flow of water through pipes buried deep beneath the floors. How many other ancient comforts have we mistakenly believed were modern inventions when their blueprints were drawn in clay thousands of years earlier? Across the Pacific, another mystery was taking root in the dry valleys of coastal Peru. The Norte Chico civilization was building its first cities at a time when the Great Pyramid of Giza was still centuries from construction. In this stark landscape, rain was a rare event, yet they cultivated a thriving society. Their secret was not found in grand monuments to water, but in a quiet, relentless manipulation of the rivers flowing from the Andes. They engineered simple yet highly effective canals that diverted river water to their fields. This was not a system of immense complexity, but one of perfect adaptation. They grew vast quantities of cotton, a crop that seems unremarkable until you realize its power. This cotton was woven into the fishing nets that harvested the incredibly rich waters of the Pacific Ocean. In a brilliant cycle of exchange, these fish were then traded with inland communities for other foodstuffs. The entire economy and the surplus that allowed for cultural flourishing was built upon this managed flow of water. What makes their achievement so startling is what they lacked. The Norte Chico built sprawling ceremonial centers like the magnificent city of Carol, with its sunken circular plazas and massive platform mounds, all without pottery or a system of writing. There were no clay tablets to record their plans, no written codes to coordinate labor. Their entire hydraulic system, the foundation of their society, was designed, built, and maintained through oral tradition and shared knowledge passed down through generations. This forces us to reconsider the very ingredients of civilization. We often associate complexity with writing and ornate material culture, but the Norte Chico proved that a deep, intuitive understanding of an environment can be a more powerful tool. Their canals were a direct expression of that understanding, a collaboration with the land that turned barren river valleys into cradles of urban life. This early Andean model of water management would echo for millennia, setting a foundational precedent for every sophisticated culture that followed in the region. Their legacy is a powerful reminder that the most enduring innovations are often the simplest, born not from overwhelming force, but from a perfect harmony with the resources at hand. The true power of the Nile was not just in its water, but in its timing. Ancient Egypt's entire civilization was built upon a predictable annual miracle, the flood. Each summer, the river would swell, spilling over its banks and depositing a layer of rich, black silt across the valley. But the Egyptians did not simply wait for this gift. They became masters of it, engineering a system to capture and extend its life-giving potential. They constructed vast networks of earthen dikes, dividing the land into a series of massive, shallow basins. When the floodwaters arrived, these dikes would trap the water and the precious silt within each basin, holding it there for weeks until the soil was thoroughly saturated and fertilized. Then, at just the right moment, they would release the remaining water back into the Nile or into a network of canals, leaving behind a perfectly prepared field ready for planting. This was basin irrigation, a cycle of deliberate flooding and draining that turned the potential chaos of a river's rage into a controlled agricultural engine. This was not a task for individual farmers. It required a level of coordination and central command that reshaped human society itself. The pharaoh's government became the essential manager of the water, organizing the labor to maintain the dikes and canals and, most critically, predicting the flood's behavior. This is where the Nilometers come in. These were elegant stone staircases or marked columns descending into the river at key points like the island of Elephantine. Priests and officials would carefully measure the water's rise against the carved graduations. A rise that was too low meant famine. A rise that was too high meant destructive flooding. But a perfect measurement meant a year of abundance, and this data allowed the state to plan, to tax, and to distribute grain. The entire bureaucratic machine of Egypt, its scribes and its granaries, can be traced back to the need to manage the Nile's gift. Their civilization was, in its very structure, a product of hydraulic engineering. They demonstrate with stunning clarity that the first and most fundamental form of political power is the power to control water. High in the Andes, where thin air challenges every breath, ancient engineers sculpted the mountains themselves into a ladder of plenty. pre-Incan cultures like the Tiwanaku and Weir confronted slopes so severe that simple farming was impossible. Their solution was the Andeans, vast agricultural terraces that transformed sheer inclines into a cascade of fertile fields. These were not just walls holding back dirt. Each terrace was a complex, layered structure. The base was built from stone, creating a stable retaining wall. Behind it, layers of gravel were laid for drainage, followed by a layer of sand, and finally a rich topsoil that was protected from being washed away by the relentless mountain rains. This meticulous construction did more than just create flat land. It engineered entirely new microclimates. The stone walls would absorb heat during the day and release it slowly through the cold night, protecting delicate crops from frost. This allowed farmers to cultivate a stunning variety of potatoes, quinoa, and maize at altitudes that would otherwise sustain very little, effectively pushing the boundaries of agriculture toward the sky. The true genius, however, flowed through water. Without it, these stone gardens would have been barren. The engineers integrated a web of stone-lined canals and aqueducts that snaked along the mountainsides. These channels captured water from distant glacial melt and seasonal rainfall, directing it with breathtaking precision. The system was designed to ensure an even, gentle distribution across every level of the terrace complex. Water would enter the highest terrace, soak its soil, and then overflow through a carefully placed outlet to the terrace below, and so on down the entire mountainside. This gravity-fed network meant every field received its share without wasteful runoff or destructive erosion. The proof of its success is written in the land itself. Many of these ancient Andeans have remained continuously fertile for over 1,000 years, their soils still rich and their structures intact. They are a testament to a philosophy of building with the land, not just on it. This deep, intimate knowledge of local ecology and hydrology allowed entire civilizations to not just survive, but to flourish in an environment that seemed to defy human habitation. The legacy of this mastery is not locked in the past. Today, modern farmers in the Andes still maintain and use these ancient terraces, relying on the same durable principles that their ancestors engineered millennia ago. It stands as a quiet, enduring lesson in sustainable design, a conversation with the mountain that has never ended. While other cultures sculpted mountains or carved into deserts, the Chinese engineer Lai Bing faced a river's fury. The Min River was a force of chaos, its seasonal floods drowning the Chengdu Plain one moment and leaving it parched the next. The conventional solution would have been to build a massive dam to block the water's power with a wall of stone and will. But Lai Bing chose a different path, one of profound insight. He proposed not to fight the river but to guide it. His strategy was a masterpiece of what we might now call ecological engineering. He constructed a levee known as the Fish Mouth, a man-made island positioned perfectly in the center of the river's flow. This single structure performed a miraculous act of division. It split the Min River into two channels, an inner stream and an outer stream. The inner stream was carefully calibrated to carry a precise portion of the water, just enough for irrigation, while the outer stream handled the main force of the current, especially during floods, carrying the excess water and destructive silt safely away. The sheer audacity of this plan becomes clear with the next step. To feed the inner stream into the irrigation network, Lai Bing's workers had to cut a channel directly through a mountain. For years, they used a brilliant, low-tech method, heating the rock with fire and then dousing it with cold water to make it crack, slowly and laboriously carving a path known as the precious bottleneck. This narrow passage acts as a natural check, controlling the volume of water entering the plains. The final component was the flying sand fence, a spillway that uses the water's own dynamics to solve a persistent problem, silt. As the diverted water swirls through the system, this spillway creates a vortex that literally tosses excess sediment and stones back over into the outer stream, keeping the irrigation canals clear without any human intervention. The entire system is a self-regulating machine powered by gravity and hydrology. It requires no moving parts, just an intimate understanding of a river's behavior. This was engineering as a form of dialogue with nature, a philosophy rooted in the Taoist ideal of wu-wei, or effortless action. By working with the river's own energy, Lai Bing created a system that has functioned flawlessly for over 2,000 years, transforming the region into a land of abundance known as the Land of Abundance. It stands today not as a relic but as a living, working testament to a simple, powerful idea. The most enduring solutions are not those that impose our will upon the world, but those that find a way to listen to it first. The stone faces of Angkor Wat gaze out from the jungle, but their secret lies beneath the soil. This entire empire was engineered for water. In a landscape ruled by monsoon and drought, the Khmer kings did not just build temples. They constructed a hydraulic machine on a staggering scale. At its heart were the barrays, immense rectangular reservoirs so vast they resembled inland seas. The largest of these, the West Barray, stretches 5 miles long and over a mile wide, an expanse of captured rainwater held back by earthen dikes that were engineering marvels in their own right. This was not a solitary structure. It was the central cog in a city-wide system of canals, moats, and subsidiary ponds that connected every part of the urban landscape. Canals channeled water from the near Basin River into the reservoirs during the relentless monsoon rains, preventing catastrophic flooding downstream. Then, during the punishing dry season, that same stored water was released through a network of channels to irrigate vast rice paddies, transforming seasonal scarcity into year-round abundance. This reliable surplus of food is what empowered the empire, supporting a population that may have reached nearly 1 million people at its height, but the system's genius extended beyond agriculture. These waterways served as the city's transportation arteries, moving people and construction materials for the very temples that define Angkor today. The moats surrounding Angkor Wat and other temples were not merely symbolic. They were functional components of this grid, helping to stabilize the water table and prevent the massive stone structures from shifting in the waterlogged ground. The entire design represents a profound understanding of the local ecosystem. It was a tool for balancing extremes, a technological solution to tame the cycle of deluge and dehydration. Modern archaeology has only recently grasped the true scale of this achievement. Laser scans from the air have peeled back the jungle canopy to reveal a sprawling, low-density metropolis integrated with its water grid, a city shaped not by random growth, but by a master plan centered on hydraulic control. The Khmer Empire was, in its essence, a civilization built by water engineers. Their legacy challenges our very definition of a city, proving that the greatest monuments are sometimes not the stones that stand, but the water that was made to flow. While empires like the Khmer built to harmonize with nature, the Assyrians weaponized water itself. In the dust-choked plains of Mesopotamia, their engineers constructed canals as instruments of power. King Sennacherib did not merely supply his capital, Nineveh, he sought to overwhelm it with abundance. His teams carved a canal over 30 miles long, channeling water from mountain springs through a landscape of stone and sun. To cross a wide valley, they engineered one of history's first known stone aqueducts at Jerwan, a monumental structure of over 2 million stone blocks. This was not a simple ditch. Its floor was paved with stone and sealed with waterproof mortar, a testament to an obsession with efficiency and control. The water did not just flow, it was commanded, directed with a precision that served a single, overarching goal: imperial expansion. This hydraulic network transformed Nineveh into a sprawling garden city, a shocking oasis of orchards and parks that stunned foreign ambassadors and solidified the king's divine reputation. But the water's purpose was profoundly practical. These canals fed the vast agricultural estates that provisioned the Assyrian war machine, allowing armies to march and be supplied in otherwise inhospitable regions. Newly conquered territories were pacified not only by the sword but by the shovel, as engineers quickly extended this life-giving infrastructure to bind rebellious cities to the imperial core. Control the water and you control the land and its people. The sophistication of their systems, including inverted siphons that used pressure to push water across dips in the terrain, reveals a crucial truth. This was not invented in a vacuum. The Assyrians were brilliant adapters, absorbing and refining hydraulic knowledge from conquered peoples like the Eurasians, turning the technologies of their rivals into tools for their own dominance. Royal inscriptions boast not just of military victories, but of these monumental waterworks, listing them as achievements equal to the sacking of cities. For the Assyrian state, a flowing aqueduct was as potent a symbol of authority as a victory stele. It demonstrates with stark clarity that in the ancient world, the ultimate technology was not the chariot or the siege engine, but the calculated mastery of a river's path. Long before Roman legions marched, the Etruscans were carving a hidden world beneath the soil of Italy. Their tool of choice was the cuniculus, a narrow, hand-dug tunnel that served as the region's first masterstroke of water management. These were not grand aqueducts reaching for the sky, but silent, subterranean veins that breathed life into the land itself. In the swampy lowlands, they carved networks of these tunnels to drain the marshes, lowering the water table and transforming pestilential bogs into fields ripe for cultivation. In the arid hills, they used the same technique in reverse, tapping into underground springs and channeling the water for miles to supply their thriving settlements. The true genius lay in the surveyor's art. To keep water flowing steadily by gravity alone, these tunnels had to maintain a perfectly consistent, gentle slope, sometimes for distances stretching thousands of feet. Using simple tools like sighting poles and water levels, Etruscan engineers achieved gradients so precise that modern measurements still evoke a sense of awe. A miscalculation of even a fraction of an inch could mean the difference between a flowing channel and a stagnant, blocked tunnel. This was a monumental effort, a testament to a deep, practical understanding of the earth and its hidden flows. The legacy of this work did not vanish with the Etruscans. When the rising power of Rome absorbed the Etruscan cities, they inherited not just their territory, but their hydrological wisdom. The Romans, ever the brilliant adapters, studied the cuniculi and integrated their principles into their own vast projects. The famous Cloaca Maxima, the great sewer that drained the Roman Forum, began its life as an open channel much like an Etruscan drainage ditch before being vaulted over into the enclosed sewer we recognize today. This uncelebrated Etruscan innovation literally laid the dry ground upon which the Roman Republic could be built. It is a profound reminder that the foundations of the most famous empires are often built upon the quiet, forgotten ingenuity of those who came before. The north coast of Peru presents a landscape of stark contrasts, where desert sands meet fertile river valleys. Here, the Moche civilization engineered a delicate balance between the two, weaving water into the very fabric of their existence. They constructed intricate networks of irrigation canals, feats of labor that diverted life from the rivers flowing down from the Andes. These channels transformed the arid coastal plain into a breadbasket, supporting fields of maize, beans, and squash. But for the Moche, water was never just a physical resource. It was a divine force, a character in their cosmology that demanded both technological mastery and spiritual reverence. This duality is etched into their art. Their pottery and murals are filled with powerful deities, often depicted as fanged beings carrying vessels of water, or as fishermen hauling in nets brimming with sea life. The Iapec deity, a central figure, was a god of water and mountains, the ultimate source of the rivers that made their civilization possible. This iconography was not mere decoration. It was a direct reflection of a world where survival and the sacred were inseparable. The grand ceremonial centers of the Moch, the Huaca del Sol and Huaca de la Luna, were not isolated temples. They were integrated into this hydraulic landscape. Archaeologists have uncovered canals running directly through these sacred precincts. Some channels may have carried fresh water for rituals of purification, while others might have been designed to channel sacrificial blood and ritual offerings away from the temples, a grim but practical form of sacred sanitation. This physical connection between the irrigation system and the spiritual heart of the city is profoundly telling. It suggests that the act of controlling water, of digging a canal or opening a sluice gate, was itself a form of prayer. The engineers who designed these systems were not just technicians. They were intermediaries, translating the will of the water deities into tangible abundance for their people. A successful harvest was evidence of both their technical skill and their spiritual favor. The Moch did not see a division between building a canal to feed a village and building a temple to honor a god. In their world, these were two expressions of the same fundamental truth. Water was the thread that stitched the practical to the profound, creating a culture where engineering was an act of devotion. The island of Sri Lanka offers a different kind of water wisdom, one built not on fighting nature's extremes, but on capturing its generosity. Here, ancient engineers transformed the entire landscape into a symphony of storage. They built vast, shallow reservoirs known as tanks, colossal artificial lakes that sprawled across the dry zone. The Parakrama Samudra, whose very name translates to the Sea of Parakrama, remains a breathtaking example. This was not a single reservoir, but a chain of 3 interconnected tanks, a coordinated system designed to hold the immense bounty of the annual monsoon rains. Its purpose was singular and vital, to support the intensive rice cultivation that fed the kingdom throughout the long, rainless months. The true genius of this system, however, lay in its interconnectedness. These massive tanks were not isolated wonders. They were linked by a network of canals, forming a cascading hierarchy across the land. Water would fill the highest tank in a watershed, and when it reached capacity, it would be released in a controlled manner to fill the next tank downstream, and so on. This design created a resilient, sustainable agricultural landscape that could withstand the unpredictable swings of variable rainfall, ensuring that even in a lean year, some part of the system would hold water. The precision behind this operation was remarkable. Engineers developed sophisticated sluice gates, known as Bisakatuwa, which were essentially valve pits built into the dam walls. These structures allowed them to regulate the water flow with extraordinary control, releasing just the right amount of water into the canals without causing erosion or damaging the dam itself. Spillways were carefully calibrated to handle excess water during exceptionally heavy rains, protecting the entire structure from catastrophic failure. This was not theoretical knowledge. It was a deep, empirical understanding of hydraulics, honed over centuries of observation and refinement. This mastery of water was deeply woven into the spiritual fabric of society. These vast reservoirs were often the heart of Buddhist monastic complexes. The monasteries themselves frequently oversaw the maintenance and operation of the tank systems, integrating water management with religious and community life. The act of building or repairing a tank was considered a profoundly meritorious deed, a direct service to both the community and the natural order. This created a powerful, self-reinforcing cycle where spiritual duty supported practical survival, and ecological harmony was a form of devotion. The ultimate testament to their success is the longevity of these systems. Many of these ancient tanks, after more than 2,000 years, are still in use today, their resilient design having sustained generations of farmers. Sri Lanka's forgotten hydraulic civilization stands as a powerful, living lesson. It demonstrates with stunning clarity how long-term planning and a philosophy of working within ecological boundaries can create a prosperity that truly endures. The story of water is a story of place. Each civilization you have encountered did not invent in a vacuum. They were answering a direct, urgent question posed by their own environment. Along the fertile banks of the Nile, the Tigris-Euphrates, and the Indus, the primary challenge was one of management. These rivers provided life, but they delivered it in overwhelming, seasonal pulses. The genius here was in distribution and defense, building dikes to tame the flood and canals to spread its gift. The solution was to orchestrate the abundance. Meanwhile, in the deserts of Persia and the canyons of Petra, the problem was not an excess of water, but a profound lack of it. Here, innovation shifted from management to meticulous conservation. The focus became extraction and protection, digging deep for hidden groundwater with qanats and carving every surface to capture a fleeting rain shower before it vanished into the thirsty earth. The very nature of the challenge dictated the form of the solution. This is the powerful, recurring pattern. Human ingenuity did not emerge in a laboratory. It was forged in the crucible of necessity, shaped by the specific pressures of drought, flood, and seasonal shift. A culture's entire technological identity was often defined by the conversation it had with its local climate. Is it possible that our modern drive for innovation has lost something vital by distancing ourselves from such immediate, environmental imperatives? These monumental waterworks demanded a different kind of miracle, one of human coordination. Before a single stone could be laid for a Kanat or a canal dug, a society had to solve the puzzle of organizing itself. Projects of such immense scale required thousands of hands, all working in concert for years, even decades. This was not a task for scattered villages. It demanded a central authority with the power to mobilize a population, to feed the workers, to house the engineers, and to protect the project until its completion. This need for centralized control often became the very catalyst for the emergence of powerful, hierarchical states. A ruler who could command the water could command the people, their loyalty secured by the life-giving abundance the project promised. The power to build a canal was in itself the power to rule. Once the system was built, the challenge shifted from creation to administration. An intricate network of canals or a sprawling reservoir is useless without constant upkeep. Silt must be cleared, breaches repaired, and the precious resource distributed fairly among all who depend on it. This daily management gave rise to some of the world's first bureaucracies. Scribes were needed to record water allocations, inspectors to patrol the channels, and judges to settle the inevitable disputes between upstream and downstream users. This necessity for regulation produced one of humanity's earliest and most famous legal codes. The Code of Hammurabi, carved in stone for all to see, contains specific laws governing water use. It details penalties for a farmer who is negligent and allows his field to be flooded, or for a man who fails to maintain his section of the communal canal, causing damage to his neighbor's plot. Here, water law was not a minor concern. It was the bedrock of civic order and economic stability. The implications of this are profound. The very structure of the state, with its rulers, its administrators, and its written laws, can be traced directly back to the need to manage water. This was a partnership of stone and society, where the technical mastery of hydraulics was inextricably linked to the social mastery of organization. The true foundation of these ancient empires was not just laid in brick and mortar, but in the creation of systems that could manage both water and the people who depended on it. These revolutionary ideas did not remain locked within one civilization. The same trade routes that carried silks and spices also carried the blueprints for survival. A Persian engineer's solution to a desert drought could, within a few generations, become a Roman solution for watering a new colonial town. The Kanat is a perfect example of this invisible migration. As the Persian Empire expanded, its signature technology traveled with it, carried by engineers who understood its principles. Later, the Romans, ever pragmatic in their thirst for efficient infrastructure, encountered these systems in the Middle East and recognized their brilliance. They did not merely copy the design, they adopted it, adapting the Kanat, which they called a cuniculus, to conditions from North Africa to the borders of Germany. This was not theft, but a form of flattery, a testament to a solution so effective it transcended empires and languages. A similar story of diffusion unfolds with the majestic Stepwells of India. The core concept of a terraced, monumental descent to water resonated deeply across Southeast Asia. While the ornate carvings and specific religious symbolism remained uniquely Indian, the underlying architectural principle, the inverted pyramid designed to access a fluctuating water table, found echoes in the water-catching infrastructures of kingdoms in places like Cambodia and Indonesia. This was a shared vocabulary of necessity, where a good idea proved its worth by its ability to travel. This cross-pollination of hydraulic knowledge paints a picture of an ancient world far more connected than we often assume. It suggests that innovation was rarely a solitary spark. Instead, it was a collaborative flame passed from one culture to another, each adding its own refinements to a growing body of global engineering wisdom. The silent, flowing networks of canals and tunnels were, in fact, a conversation stretching across thousands of miles and countless generations. Our modern view of these ancient marvels has been utterly transformed by a technological lens. For centuries, the true scale of their work lay buried and invisible, its full complexity hidden from view. Today, tools like LiDAR peer through dense jungle canopies, painting a digital picture of the land beneath. In places like Angkor, this laser scanning has revealed a sprawling, low-density metropolis perfectly integrated with its water grid, a city shaped entirely by hydraulic design. Ground-penetrating radar sends pulses into the earth, mapping the ghostly outlines of subterranean channels and collapsed Kanat tunnels without a single shovel breaking the soil. High above, satellite imagery detects subtle differences in vegetation health, tracing the faint, straight lines of buried canals that once fed forgotten fields. These are the non-invasive eyes of modern archaeology, allowing us to map entire hydraulic networks that were once thought to be isolated structures. The true extent of a system like the Khmer Barrays only becomes clear when you see its countless feeder canals and connecting channels etched across the landscape from space. But the investigation goes even deeper into the very earth itself. By taking core samples from ancient reservoir beds, scientists can read the layered history like the pages of a book. Each layer of sediment tells a story. A thick band of coarse sand might speak of a catastrophic flood that overwhelmed the system, while fine, organic, rich silt points to centuries of stable, productive agriculture. Pollen grains preserved in the mud reveal what crops were grown and how the local climate shifted over time. This paleoenvironmental data is crucial. it helps us reconstruct the world these engineers faced. We can understand not just what they built, but why they built it and how their systems responded to droughts or periods of intense rainfall. This marriage of traditional digging with cutting-edge science is fundamentally rewriting history. We now appreciate that the massive stone temples were merely the tip of the iceberg, supported by a hidden, sprawling infrastructure of water control that was far more complex and extensive than anyone previously believed. Each new scan, each new core sample, chips away at old assumptions, forcing us to grant these pre-Roman hydrologists the profound respect they deserve. Their secrets, held in the soil for millennia, are finally beginning to flow. The same ingenuity that summoned life from the desert could also sow the seeds of its own decline. For all their brilliance, these ancient hydraulic systems left behind a complex environmental legacy, a story of both creation and consequence. In Mesopotamia, the very irrigation canals that fed the fields of Sumer carried a hidden poison. Water, as it percolated through the soil, dissolved natural salts from the earth. Under the fierce sun, this water would evaporate, leaving the salts behind to accumulate in the topsoil year after year. At first, the effect was negligible, masked by the incredible fertility of the land. But over centuries, the salt built up, creating a toxic white crust that stunted crops and eventually rendered vast tracts of land barren. Cuneiform tablets from the time lament the declining yields of wheat, a salt-sensitive crop, and its gradual replacement with more tolerant barley. This was not a sudden collapse, but a slow, creeping crisis that even the most advanced management could not ultimately reverse. The land that gave birth to civilization was, in a way, exhausted by it. Yet in other places, the impact was profoundly positive. The vast tank systems of Sri Lanka did not just store water, they created entirely new ecosystems. These sprawling reservoirs became rich wetlands, attracting migratory birds, supporting fish populations, and fostering a mosaic of habitats around their edges. The reliable water supply allowed for sophisticated crop rotations, which prevented nutrient depletion in the soil and supported agricultural biodiversity. This was a form of engineering that actively enhanced the local ecology, building resilience into the landscape itself. The most enduring systems, like China's Dujiangyan, succeeded precisely because they were designed as collaborations with nature, not acts of domination. By understanding the river's energy and working with its flow, Lai Bing created a project that has sustained itself for over 2,000 years without causing the ecological damage of a large dam. This ancient dichotomy holds a critical lesson for our modern world. We face the same fundamental choice: to impose our will upon the water cycle or to learn its rhythms. The silent, salt-encrusted fields of Mesopotamia stand as a stark warning, while the still-functioning tanks and weirs offer a blueprint for a more harmonious future. The true test of our engineering may not be in how much water we can control, but in how wisely we can live within its limits. A river was never just a river. It was a god, an ancestor, a living artery of the cosmos. The Ganges in India descended from the heavens, its waters believed to cleanse the soul of all sin. The Nile was the god Hapi, whose annual flood was not a random event but a deliberate act of divine generosity. In Mesopotamia, the Tigris and Euphrates were unpredictable deities to be appeased, their life-giving waters inseparable from their destructive potential. This sacred dimension transformed the work of the engineer into a form of worship. When a stepwell was carved in India, its intricate carvings of deities were not mere decoration. They were an integral part of its function, declaring that the act of drawing water was a communion with the divine. The water itself was holy, and the structure that housed it had to be worthy. This spiritual imperative drove the creation of some of the most magnificent water structures in history. The massive temple tanks of South India, like the one at the Great Shaivite Temple in Chidambaram, were not just reservoirs. They were sacred geography, physical representations of mythological oceans where rituals of purification and renewal were performed. Pilgrims would bathe in these waters before approaching the inner sanctum, washing away both physical grime and spiritual impurity in a single symbolic act. The practical and the ceremonial were fused into one. This connection extended to the very alignment of these structures. At the Minoan Palace of Knossos, water channels and ceremonial spaces were oriented in relation to celestial bodies. In Egypt, the rising of the star Sirius heralded the Nile's flood, and the entire calendar of irrigation was a dance with the cosmos. To manage water was to participate in a divine order, to help maintain the balance of the universe itself. This profound symbolic layer forces us to see these ancient engineers in a new light. They were not merely technicians solving a material problem. They were philosophers and priests, interpreting the will of the gods through the flow of a canal and the level of a reservoir. Their blueprints were both mathematical and mythological. The stone they laid was as much an act of devotion as it was of construction. How does this change our understanding of their legacy? It suggests that the most enduring human achievements are those that answer not just the body's thirst, but the soul's deep yearning for meaning. History often credits kings and male engineers, but the true architects of daily water security were often women. While men designed the grand canals and monumental reservoirs, women managed the vital flow of water at its most intimate level. Their domain was the household, the garden plot, and the community well. This daily, uncelebrated labor required a deep and nuanced understanding of the local environment. They knew which spring ran sweetest in the dry season, which hillside seepage could sustain a vegetable patch, and exactly when the rains would arrive to replenish their stores. This was a living science passed from mother to daughter through generations, a cumulative knowledge of microhydrology that kept families and communities alive. In the ancient societies of Anatolia, this connection between women and water took on a sacred dimension. Here, priestesses often held authority over springs and wells, presiding over rituals that honored the divine spirits believed to inhabit these life-giving sources. Their role was not merely ceremonial. A priestess who understood the spiritual significance of a spring would also be its guardian, likely advising on its protection and the management of the clean water it provided. This placed women at the very heart of both the practical and the cosmological management of water. The archaeological record, though often silent on gender, offers tantalizing clues. The discovery of specific, finely made pottery vessels used for carrying and storing water, often found in domestic contexts and decorated with symbols associated with female deities, points to their central role. The design of these containers was itself a form of innovation, shaped for balance on the head or for efficient pouring and storage. Who better to refine these essential tools than the people who use them every single day? To overlook this foundational work is to misunderstand how these societies truly functioned. The grand, state-level hydraulic projects could not have existed without the bedrock of knowledge cultivated by women in their daily rounds. Their silent expertise in small-scale management informed the principles of large-scale engineering. This more inclusive history does not just add missing characters, it reveals a fundamental truth. Engineering expertise was a collective, communal endeavor, woven from the threads of countless individual contributions, many of them made by the hands of women. Their legacy is not carved in stone but flowed through the daily life of civilizations, a quiet, persistent current that truly made the desert bloom. The soaring arches of a Roman aqueduct represent a classic image of ancient power, yet this vision of water mastery was just one answer to a universal challenge. Roman engineering prioritized scale and direct delivery, moving massive volumes of water across vast distances in open channels, a testament to their unparalleled skill in concrete and organized labor. Their systems were designed to dominate the landscape, to bring a river's force directly to the heart of a city for public baths, fountains, and sewers. This was hydraulic engineering as a statement of imperial might, but contrast this with the subtle intelligence of a Persian Kanat. Instead of conquering the horizon, it moves silently beneath it, tapping not a river but an unseen aquifer, protecting every precious drop from evaporation. Where the aqueduct shouts, the Kanat whispers, or consider the Dujiangyan system, which never attempts to block the Min River, but instead gently persuades it to split, using its own energy to irrigate and desilt. These pre-Roman systems embody a different philosophy, one of collaboration with the local environment rather than supremacy over it. This is not a contest to crown a single winner. The Roman approach was brilliantly effective for supplying dense urban populations, a solution perfectly tailored to the needs of an empire. But the earlier technologies from Persia, China, and India often demonstrated a deeper, more sustainable resilience, maintaining soil health and water tables for millennia. Their legacy is not one of obsolescence but of enduring relevance. This rich tapestry of innovation reveals a crucial truth. Technological advancement is not a single, linear path leading to Rome. It is a branching tree with different cultures cultivating distinct and equally brilliant branches, each shaped by the unique pressures of their environment and the profound questions posed by their own thirst. The silent, flowing wisdom of these ancient engineers speaks directly to our modern crises. We now face a world of deepening droughts, unpredictable floods, and rising temperatures, challenges that our energy-intensive water infrastructure often struggles to meet. In this new reality, the principles etched into Kanats and Stepwells are not relics, they are blueprints. The Kanat's genius was its passive, low-energy design, using gravity and geology to deliver water without a single pump. This stands in stark contrast to the massive electric pumps that drain modern aquifers, a system that is costly and ultimately unsustainable. The Chinese Dujiangyan project offers a masterclass in flood resilience. Instead of trying to constrain a river with ever higher concrete walls, it invites the water to follow a path of least resistance that also happens to benefit agriculture. This philosophy of working with a river's energy rather than against it could transform how we manage flood-prone areas today, and the Nabateans of Petra demonstrated a radical form of water conservation where every single raindrop was captured, stored, and protected from evaporation. Their approach turns our own wasteful practices, where stormwater is often seen as a problem to be disposed of, on its head. Around the world, these ancient ideas are being reborn. In arid regions, new Kanat-inspired systems are being dug to provide sustainable cooling and irrigation. Landscape architects are designing parks that function like Nabatean cisterns, absorbing stormwater and releasing it slowly, reducing urban flooding and replenishing groundwater. Perhaps the most powerful lesson lies in the social organization these systems required. The long-term maintenance of a Sri Lankan tank or a Mesopotamian canal network depended on a shared sense of responsibility and community oversight. This decentralized, community-based management offers a compelling alternative to our often brittle, centralized systems. It suggests that true water security is not just a technological problem, but a social one. The forgotten engineers left us a profound legacy, a toolkit of ideas that blend technical skill with ecological intuition. Their work reminds us that the most advanced solution is not always the most complex one, but the one that listens most carefully to the world around us. Our journey through these forgotten waterways reveals a stunning truth. Technological brilliance is not the birthright of any single empire or era, but a universal human response to the fundamental need for life. From the subterranean Kanats of Persia to the monumental reservoirs of Sri Lanka, these master hydrologists proved that genius is not about imposing a single, rigid solution upon the world. It is about listening to the whispers of a specific place, to the rhythm of its rains and the secrets of its soil. They did not fight the desert with brute force. They convinced it to cooperate. They did not see a mountain as a barrier, but as a source and a tool. Their legacy quietly rewrites the timeline of human achievement, pushing the zenith of engineering ingenuity back by thousands of years and scattering it across every continent. This rich tapestry of independent innovation challenges a linear view of progress, suggesting instead a constellation of brilliant minds all solving the same essential puzzle in their own unique ways. As we face our own modern water crises with deepening droughts and unpredictable floods, the principles embedded in these ancient systems become more than historical curiosities. They are a vital blueprint. The Kanat's passive, gravity-fed design is a lesson in low-energy sustainability. The Dujiangyan project's harmony with the river offers a model for resilient flood management. The Nabatean obsession with capturing every raindrop is a masterclass in radical conservation. Their work stands as a beacon, reminding us that the most advanced solution is not always the most complex, but the one that is most deeply attuned to the natural world. These silent, flowing networks invite us to look deeper, to question the stories we tell about our past, and to seek wisdom in the most unexpected places. What other hidden infrastructures holding secrets of sustainability are waiting to be rediscovered? We would love to hear which of these ancient marvels resonated most with you, so feel free to share your thoughts below. And if you are eager for more journeys into the mysteries of our past, be sure to subscribe.